right, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we got a Boston native, one of my best friends, Clay Andrews 12, joining the pod. Special guest given the fact that we have Patriots Seahawks coming up this weekend. Had to get the take. Throughout college, we watched, I think, 3 Super Bowls in Cincinnati, so have to get his take. Kind of just what he expects with this being the first Super Bowl post-Brady era. So, Clay, welcome to the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. Hype. Love seeing your stuff. Stuff you got going on. It's up, so definitely want people to tune in. Excited for this one.
So, take me through your mindset heading in, since they beat the Broncos in the AFC Championship game against a backup quarterback. How are you feeling about the Pats? I know Drake May was dealing with a little shoulder issue, but I feel like that's resolved. But how are you feeling kind of heading into the weekend?
Honestly, I feel good. When it came out, 4.5, I thought that was, a good line for us. I think overall, I think I'm hammering that personally. I have a few bets going. Overall, we had Jared Stidham, in our opposing sort of matchup there. But overall, I think the Pats are... we're good, bro. I feel like this is our time. Vrabel and Josh McDaniels have way more experience, than the other side. Obviously, and the Seahawks have a insane defense, number 1 scoring defense. But our pass defense is top 6 in every category. So I think our defense is definitely underrated. So I'm hyped. Being a Pats fan, we didn't have too much, time of us at the bottom, but definitely excited for us for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that having McDaniels and Vrabel to be able to have them scheme up for 2 weeks is going to be a problem for the Seahawks, which is underestimated given that, the Seahawks only have Mike McDonald and not too much experience outside. And then Drake May, obviously, I think I saw he's like the 4th youngest quarterback to start in the Super Bowl. Obviously, Brady, Mahomes, Ben Roethlisberger. I think he could honestly have a sleeper game in terms of overachieving expectations given how young he is.
No, I totally agree. Everybody sort of, obviously the shoulder has been coming out this week. He hasn't really performed in the past few games, really been relying on his legs and relying on his ability to just ad lib. But I think, if you look at all of his stats throughout the rest of the game, throughout the season, I mean, he's just, most games he's throwing for over 200 yards or so, at least a touchdown or 2. He has Josh McDaniels, obviously, so I think even at halftime, right? So I think that's going to be the big thing, because in Super Bowls, the halftime's long, and you're going to need your offensive coordinator, whoever, because earlier on I heard this week, right, they were talking about, how Josh McDaniels and Brady were literally scheming up, Friday, night at 10, 11 p.m., and you're going to kind of need that, I feel like, in the halftime, that long halftime. So I really think that we're gonna, overall, that's how I'm sort of feeling about that. But I think Drake May will definitely, outperform, that's what I'm saying. But
yeah, no, I definitely think that they're gonna have a lot of different looks that they're gonna try and give the Seahawks to see what bulges. So I think that they'll be definitely well prepared. How do you react to a lot of people were kind of thinking that the Patriots had a cakewalk schedule? There's been a lot of first things first, had a lot of talk on that. What's your response to thinking how prepared you guys are for this Super Bowl?
Yeah, I don't think it's been a cakewalk. I feel like we've gone up against some pretty great defenses, right? I think when we were playing against the Texans, pretty much everyone on ESPN picked them. Everyone was sort of clowning them on social media, that whole sort of cast of Ryan Clark and Dan Orlovsky and such, who were picking the Texans. But yeah, the Texans overall, I feel like, they were a great defense. I think the Broncos as well. Obviously they were down Bo Nix, but they had a strong offensive line. They had good skill weapons. They had Sean Payton. They had a ton of great, a great cast of folks in that sort of locker room there. And then Justin Herbert and the Chargers, right? Harbaugh. They had a great sort of team there as well. Obviously, they were sort of lacking the offensive line. I think that the skill positions like Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, they sort of underperformed, and Herbert wasn't able to sort of do his thing. I think overall, like we didn't have like the toughest road, so to speak, but I feel like the defenses we played were up to snuff for sure. So overall, I feel like this is just another defense to put to the test. I like I like our receivers in this game too. I like Diggs up against even Rory. He has sort of like an ankle sort of issue right now. Kayshon Boutte I think is super underrated as well. Kyle Williams I think could catch it. Maybe get a 2 or 3 catches. Maybe some big plays or something like that. And I think we have other skill positions like Travion Henderson too out of the backfield. I think Ramondre is super underrated this game. Nobody's talking about Ramondre. I feel like since like week 7 or something like that, he has had over 30 rushing yards. So I actually put that bet down. So, I put that bet down. Yeah, I put
that bet hammer down. That. Taylor.
Yeah, I'm hammered. Yeah, literally since like week 7, he's been over 30 plus, including the playoffs, and that's something. So I feel like we're well equipped, and especially like I said with Vrabel, with McDaniels, all that experience, especially McDaniels. My dad is someone who called that out. I think like when I was back home, I was like, dang, I wasn't really thinking about McDaniels like that, and then now everybody's actually kind of giving him his flowers because I feel like nobody really was like definitely mid-season. So
yeah, no, I definitely feel like he wasn't getting the respect that he rightfully deserves. But I do think that Drake May has the thing over Darnold where he doesn't make the mistakes. He takes care of the football pretty accurate. I think Darnold's definitely going to have a pick, so I'm definitely taking that in my. I
actually just took that last night in one of my parlays. I literally just took that because the Seahawks do I think have I heard they had the number 1 scoring defense or whatever. So, and obviously even Warren and all these other dudes, and they got some definitely dudes in the secondary. But we picked off. Obviously CJ Stroud, picking him off isn't something to write home about or whatever. But yeah, I feel like we could definitely make something happen. I think it's I also think it's going to be a really low scoring first quarter too. I have the unders on that, under 10 or 11, 12. I think you can hammer those 2 in the first quarter. I think you've got Drake May, Sam Darnold. Everyone's hyping up Sam Darnold. He had a great game. Mm-hmm. He's been sort of had this cloud over him for many years, and then you got Drake May, who's really young, like you pointed out earlier. I feel like he's gonna take it's gonna take some time for these players to settle in. You know what I mean? Especially the quarterbacks.
Right.
So I feel like definitely taking the under for the points in the first quarter. They could get over. It could be a high scoring second quarter. I'm not really sure about that, but I feel like the first quarter is gonna be a little slow for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely taking the under the first half for sure. And then I expect it to pick up in the second half. I think it's also interesting that this is the first probably Super Bowl that it's not legacy defining. I feel like Brady, you're always he's got to get his next Super Bowl so he can solidify himself as the GOAT over Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, versus this, Drake May, it's his first one, no pressure. You guys technically weren't expected to be here at the beginning of the season. So I feel like that's probably something unique in this scenario for you guys having won so many Super Bowls over the last 20 years.
Yeah, definitely. When I was back in college, those first 3 years, you guys were definitely giving it to me. Just for every bowl, every playoff run, I couldn't stop hearing it. But back then, you're right. It was all we were expected to get there, and all that sorts of thing, and we were always sort of mentally playing against ourselves in some ways, right? It was, you had different things like Deflategate and Spotgate and all this other stuff, and it was there was always sort of some mental gymnastics that kind of had to go on, and you had to be very mentally tough. But I think Vrabel just generally he's just, the way he coaches, the way he sort of been coaching this team, he's really just instilled in them this mentality, just super tough, hard-nosed, fundamental football. I think that it definitely is going to be sort of a different story. And yeah, we had I think it was either 60-1, 75-1 chance, and I think the Seahawks were in similar territory in terms of odds to win the Super Bowl. I think I even saw for next year the Seahawks are favored to win the Super Bowl, which is really interesting. But yeah, overall, yeah, it's definitely a different story. Definitely not a lot of pressure. I think all the pressure is on the Seahawks for sure. Darnold, again, I guess they're favored next year, but I think there's a ton of pressure, like just like for him, and that's what I'm saying in that first half. Like it might be low scoring because I think he's going to be a little bit nervous. Like he's going to be, whether he's looking down trying to hit Smith and Jigba, I feel like Cooper Kupp throughout the season hasn't really been that involved in the offense. He's going to be looking for his tight end like AJ Barner, I think. So yeah, I don't know. I really I didn't take a ton of like in my bets, like a ton of different stuff. Like I kept it pretty conservative on like my bets. But yeah, it's gonna be not a ton of pressure for us, I don't think.
What's your prediction on score, and does Stephon Diggs go over 100 yards? Shout out old roommate Gilbert. He would definitely be interested in that take.
I think Gilbert, my roommate, shout out Gil, definitely got Diggs going for over 100. I don't have Diggs going over 100. Let's just say that. I have Diggs going for. Again, my bets have been pretty conservative. I have him over like 3 catches. You know what I mean? Like I think he'll get 3-4 catches easy. Yards wise, Diggs has been pretty up and down. Like he's had like maybe like 100-yard game here and there, 100-yard game there. Obviously, this is one of the best defenses in the league. I don't think Diggs is going to show out per se. So for me, something. I mean, if he gets 50, I'll be like, dang, like he's kind of cooking, So like, and probably like 4 or 5 catches is kind of. But again, who else is the ball going to go to? I don't know if I sort of have us winning, but neither here nor there. In terms of score, yeah, I think. Yeah, again, kind of being conservative. Like, I don't think Drake May is going to go that crazy either. Like, I think, he can maybe get over 200, but he's not. I don't think he's going to throw for anything like 300. Like, it's not going to be a 300-yard, 3-touchdown game. You know what I mean? Or something like that. So I think it'll probably be something like 24. I think it'd be like 20-23. Something very close like that. 24, okay. 21. That's sort of what I'm thinking. Like late field goal, sort of like a late stop at the end. Maybe Darnold has to do a little 2-minute drill, and that's when he throws his pick or something like that. So that's where I'm thinking. It's going to be a really close game.
Yeah.
We're not going to blow them out. You've been hearing everybody. If there is going to be a blowout, it's going to be on the Seahawks side. They're going to blow us out, but yeah, it's going to be a close one for sure. So I think we'll keep it close, and again, I have us obviously getting it done. So.
You heard it here first. Clay Andrews calling it 23-20 Pats, going for, Super Bowl, number 7?
Yeah, shoot. I don't even. I think it total, it might be like.
Well, 6 of Brady and then whatever you guys had before. I don't know.
How many Super Bowls did the Steelers have?
I wasn't watching football before then, but.
Yeah, I don't even know. We actually kind of looked that one up. But yeah, I know we'll tie the Steelers, I think. If we get this dub this weekend. We'll actually pass the Steelers. Okay, so Steelers have 6 currently. Patriots will pass.
Okay.
For sure. But I'll throw it back at you. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking for this weekend in terms of score? Obviously, I think we've talked. I think you got the Seahawks, but we'll let that slide for now. But
yeah. I definitely think that the Seahawks are going to win. My prediction was similar in the mid to early 20s. Going to be a close game, like 24-21, with the Seahawks making some stops late on defense, and then special teams is going to be a big factor. Again, you saw in the NFC Championship game when they flipped the game by getting that recovery on the fumble. I think that there's going to be some weird plays that change the trajectory of the game. And I could see the Seahawks getting one of those type of weird bounces to go their way on a fumble or something. Sam Darnold will, find Cooper Kupp or Smith and Jigba the end zone. And there's just not enough time to make the comeback. So I think it's going to be 24-21. But I feel like the Seahawks will get up to at least 10 points. And then the Patriots will come back. So I think it's going to be that type of game. But it's going to start off slow with both teams not having too much experience getting in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. How do you think Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be doing this game? Like, I feel like it's going to be a hard bet. I think he's going to be either boom or bust. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he'll go for 90 to 100 yards, or maybe he'll go for like 30. I don't know. Obviously, like, I can see him probably going more towards the higher end of that, but
yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Christian Gonzalez for you guys,
yep.
the Pats, your number one DB is going to be clamped on him. I don't know what the Rams were doing, but they were playing a lot of soft coverage, and he was just finding like the open spot, and he wasn't getting jammed or anything. Because I even saw a clip, Jamar Chase was like, why is he like not, like if this were me, like I would be getting like jammed and double teamed like every play. So I don't know what the Rams were doing. So I expect it to be not as volatile as what he did in the NFC Championship game, but I could see him with like 90 yards at least. Is what I'm thinking, 90 to 100 maybe.
Yeah, he's an impeccable route runner, Ohio State guy.
Right.
He's going to be a problem. I remember watching Herd this week, and Cowherd didn't have Christian Gonzalez in his top 10, which I thought was insane.
Yeah, he must have
which is insane. Almost like, you know, disregards or that entire list. I feel like Christian Gonzalez is top corner, like, for sure. You know, easy. So I think he's definitely gonna give Smith and Jigba some problems. So yeah, that's what I'm feeling on that one. But
yeah, nah, definitely some
going for us, but
yeah, I mean, you know, we'll see. I mean, the Patriots could pull it out, but I'm just feeling
like
the
Seahawks spread at least. Do you like the 4.5 spread? Would you take that?
I would. Yeah, I'm definitely. That's what I'm saying. It's 24-21, so you guys are covering.
Okay.
Which I think, you know, most people probably are going to take that, considering it's, unless you think it's going to be a blowout.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But nah, I think we got some good talking. So appreciate you hopping on. Give the Patriots some love. You know what I'm saying? Get their support. But yeah, no, appreciate you hopping on, and we'll see what the outcome is. I got the Seahawks. Clay's got obviously riding with his Pats. So if you like what you see, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with it next week.
Of course. Sub down below.